The White House has not provided any evidence backing up the president's uncorroborated claim that 3 to 5 million illegal votes were cast in the 2016 election. Now, that is, of course, because no such tangible evidence of widespread voter fraud exists, according to Republican and Democratic election officials all across the country. It did not happen. But it is a belief of the president's, we are told. So this morning, he called for an investigation into the matter. This afternoon, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer was asked about the fact that in recount efforts in battleground states, the president's own lawyers insisted that there were no credible accounts of voter fraud. Spicer's response was to suggest that the investigation might look into other places, quote, larger states. He named two of them, California and New York, states that it might be observed voted overwhelmingly against Mr. Trump. Now, one of the items the president wants investigated, according to his tweet this morning, people who are registered to vote in more than one state. He might want to start that investigation by talking to his top political aide and one of his key cabinet picks who are among the many, many voters who on Election Day were registered in more than one state. CNN Supreme Court and Justice correspondent Pamela Brown joins me now. Pamela, if an agency would start such an investigation, how would they do it?
Well, at this point, we have to figure out who is going to lead the charge, because you have President Trump calling on a widespread voter fraud registration, but it's still unclear who would be in charge of that investigation. Jake, that remains a mystery. In fact, officials I've spoken with in the Department of Justice, which typically investigates those allegations, says an investigation like this would be completely unprecedented.
Remember, I told you it's a rigged system, right? It's terrible. And not rigged for us, believe me.
Today, President Trump announcing without any proof he wants a, quote, major investigation into voter fraud, tweeting the focus will be on those registered to vote in 2 states, those who are illegal, and those registered to vote who are dead.
I, Donald John Trump.
The call comes on the heels of his repeated and unfounded claim that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally in the election, costing him the popular vote. Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton by nearly 3 million votes. Today, the White House said the probe will go beyond the 2016 election.
We have to understand where the problem exists, how deep it goes, and then suggest some remedies to it.
But who would be in charge of the investigation remains a mystery. Department of Justice officials who would typically handle voter fraud allegation investigations say there's no predication, such as a specific credible allegation of voter fraud, to even launch an investigation.
There is no evidence that people voted unlawfully in the November election, and certainly not by the millions.
Trump's own legal team has argued that no voter fraud occurred in the general election. White House counsel Don McGahn wrote in a legal brief in December, all available evidence suggests that the 2016 general election was not tainted by fraud, and responds to an effort to block the recount in Michigan by Jill Stein. The White House saying that was true only of the states where results were close.
There's a lot of states that we didn't compete in where that's not necessarily the case. You look at California and New York, I'm not sure that those statements were, we didn't look at those 2 states in particular.
Republicans, including Donald Trump, point to a Pew Research study from 2012 that says 1 in every 8 voter registrations are no longer valid. More than 1.8 million deceased individuals are listed as voters, and 2.75 million are registered in more than one state. But the study does not say there is widespread fraud.
There are people that are voting in that are on the rolls in 2 different states, sometimes in 3 different states.
In fact, 2 members of the president's own team, Treasury Secretary nominee Steve Mnuchin and top advisor Steve Bannon, were registered in multiple states on Election Day. Ohio Secretary of State told CNN today voter fraud in his state is rare.
What we found in the past, we do an investigation of voter fraud, voter suppression. We found less than 1,000 cases of voter irregularity, less than a couple hundred cases of voter fraud.
And the White House says it will release more information about how this investigation will play out later this week. And it's worth noting here, Jake, that President Trump could also appoint a special investigator, or he could ask Congress to use its investigatory powers to look into this. Jake.